Welcome everyone to Board of Directors meeting for the Environmental Facilities Corporation, Thursday, January 18th. It's 11:32-ish. Madam Secretary, could you call the roll, please?
Certainly. Chair Stefanko.
Here.
Director Westerman.
Here.
Director Leary.
Here.
Director Corcoran.
Here.
Director DeMarquis. Director Krasansky.
Here.
And Director Zarofsky.
I am here.
We have a quorum of the board.
Great. First item on the agenda is approval of the draft minutes from the December 7th board meeting. We did have full attendance. Any discussion? Okay, I'll take a motion in a second on that.
So moved.
Seconded. Thank you, James. There was no discussion, so all those in favor of the draft minutes? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. For the chair, I have nothing to report. Welcome to first meeting of the new year. Hope everyone had a restful holiday and New Year's season. And President?
I have a couple of things this morning. Just let folks know we announced an IMG round for $325 million on the holiday on the 15th, and applications will open on February 5th. So an early round and a nice sum of money, $325. State of the state, one of them had to do with the WIA IMG program for small, rural, and disadvantaged communities for the clean water WIA. Drinking water already is up to 60%. So clean water is, if you're a small community, rural community, you can get up to 50% for certain projects. So that we'll put out the details on that in our summary of the program before that goes live on the 5th. Also, there are now going to be drinking water and engineering planning grants for lead service line inventory replacements or emerging contaminants. So not for anything, but for those two categories, we'll have planning grants, and also there'll be green resiliency grants, which are like our GIGP, but a little bit more broader that you can use, and there'll be larger dollar amounts, and it'll be a kind of a robust round of green resiliency grants available to state agencies and for some larger projects to help some flooding and stormwater.
So that's new?
Yep.
Got it.
Yeah,
Great.
because it'll be
Excellent.
like the GIGP, but a little bit different. We wanted to keep it separate as a state program.
Nice.
And
So that, know the funding amount on that? Do we know the funding amount on that?
I'm not sure that
It's not 100% finalized.
Right.
It's a substantial amount.
yes, it will be more than we normally make available. I think significantly more than we generally make available under the GIGP program. So,
Yeah,
post it.
contaminants would be your PFAS and all of that, and those are our most expensive projects. I haven't seen anything under, $3-5 million. So I just wondered, planning for those is probably going to take a lot.
Oh, you're talking about the planning grants.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, not the green resiliency grants. So the planning grants,
I'm sorry.
yeah, we're still working that out too, but it'll be similar to what we do for the clean water. So in the $2, $3, $4 million available for the planning grants. We will announce that. I don't know when we're gonna announce the availability of those and also the green resiliency. So again, the green resiliency will be a large, larger than what we normally do for GIGP. And we'll keep folks posted as we know more and kind of lay out the details on those programs. And then in the budget, specifically, just the governor continued her commitment to funding clean water infrastructure. So that's about that. Those new things. The departmental too, which I think we probably can't discuss yet. Well, it's an extender. So we always put in extenders to do the 50% subsidy.
Clean water
Clean water.
projects.
And then ethics training. So just wanted to remind you guys, stick around after the meeting because there'll be the ethics refresher.
And it's the same WebEx meeting. They'll stop streaming and transfer control over. So it should be easy.
And just the independent members.
And just the
Right,
independent members.
Unless others can join, but you get your training elsewhere. And that's it.
More the merrier. Come on.
Oh, welcome.
Madam President,
Yes?
were there awards recently given for the water quality improvement grants, or was that?
Yes. So we announced in December $479 million. 30 of that was for a new round of septic money, but the rest was for WIA and IMG, 200 million coming from the Bond Act and the remaining coming from the Clean Water Infrastructure Act of 2017 and some, it was 225 from QIA, and there was some additional money that we had from prior WIA grants that either they were withdrawn because they didn't move forward, or sometimes projects actually do come in less than they planned. So there was some additional money that we made use of. And so the total was $449 million that we announced in December. And those, we can get you the list of projects if you want. They're on our website. And yeah, so now we're going out in January with the $325 million. And that's all from QIA.
Great, thank you so much.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Next item, we did have a committee meeting of finance met at 11, chaired by Director Corcoran. And there will be an ID number 3 in the resolutions to address the discussion. But Francis, you want to add anything?
Francis, you're muted.
Unmuted. Just wanted to say we met this morning. We had full quorum. We approved our minutes from the August 24th meeting, and we will be recommending at such time ID number 3 for recommendation for the full board's approval, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Francis. Okay, any unfinished business that anyone like to raise before we head to resolutions? Wonderful. Okay, Madam Secretary, resolution number 1, please.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation amending prior authorizations for financial assistance to be provided by the corporation to certain recipients in connection with the Drinking State Revolving.
Thank you. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Francis.
I'll second.
Thank you, Christine. Rebecca Walker will be presenting.
All right, good morning. The first project we have is the town of Essex in Essex County. This project includes the installation of new groundwater sources and upgrades to the distribution system to serve Water District 1. We are seeking authorization to extend the maturity date 2 years to March 2026. This project has experienced extensive delays caused by a lack of sufficient groundwater source to replace the existing source from Lake Champlain. As a result, the town had to switch course, moving from searching for an alternate groundwater source to modifying and improving the existing surface water treatment plant. A pilot study has been conducted and approved, but additional time is needed to complete the upgrades to the existing plant. The next project is for the village of Holly in Orleans County. This project includes replacement of approximately 9,000 linear feet of water main. We are seeking authorization to extend the maturity date 1 year to March 2025. The water main work is nearly complete, but it was decided that a supervisory control and data system should also be implemented. DOH has determined the work to be within the original scope of the project, and additional time is now needed to implement the system. The next project is for the city of Oswego in Oswego County. This project includes upgrades and improvements to the McCaffrey water treatment plant, including providing emergency power, They would be able to pump water to the distribution system in the event of a power outage. We are seeking authorization for a funding increase of just over $500,000 to cover cost overruns caused by high bids and engineering and administration estimates exceeding the original budget. And the last project is for the village of Sharon Springs in Schoharie County. This project includes construction of approximately 300,000 gallon water storage tank, replacement of approximately 15,000 linear feet of distribution main and water treatment plant upgrades. We're seeking approval for a 9-month extension of the maturity date to the end of this year. The additional time will allow the village to receive funds from a recently awarded second CDBG grant, which will be used to cover increased project costs of approximately $1.2 million. It will also allow the project to be included in EFC's 2024 leverage financing. Any questions?
Wonderful. Okay, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of resolution number 1? Aye.
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 Unanimous. Resolution number 2.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation making certain determinations and authorizing certain actions in connection with the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, and authorizing financial assistance payments to certain municipalities to fund eligible drinking water projects from funds appropriated for water infrastructure improvement projects.
Can I have a motion and a second, please?
Make a motion, Chairman.
I'll second.
Rita and James, thank you. David Phillips will be presenting.
Okay, thank you. The first project is for New York City. This is for short-term market rate financing. The project is for the Kensico Eastview connection. So this project will provide a second redundant water conveyance tunnel between the Kensico Reservoir and the Catskill, Delaware ultraviolet disinfection plant in Eastview, so that it'll provide more surety that they can get water from the Kensico Reservoir to the UV plant in Eastview, which is a critical treatment process needed to meet the long-term 2 surface water treatment rule. Next project is for the village of Portville in Cattaraugus County. This project includes a Bill General Supplemental Grant, Bill General Supplemental Interest-Free Loan, and a WIA grant. The project includes upgrades to the well source capacity and treatment, including chlorine and fluoridation systems. It includes upgrades to the northern storage tank and replacement of the southern tank. Includes replacements of aged and undersized water mains and appurtenant valves and hydrants. And it also includes a new telemetry system and replacement of water service meters. So overall, this project will address several violations of the New York State Sanitary Code, which were cited by the county health department, including inadequate source capacity, inadequate disinfection, inadequate sanitary protection of the storage tanks, and severely aged and undersized water mains. Next project is for the city of Rochester, Monroe County. This is for a WIA grant. And this project includes replacement of 1,100 lead and galvanized water services. And the final project is for the village of Sherman, which is in Chautauqua County. This is for a long-term interest-free financing. And the project included upgrades to the well sources, including protection from flooding. It included replacement of 5,600 linear feet of aged and undersized water mains, included service meter replacements, and also included upgrades to the storage tank, which included sanitary protection of the storage tank, improvements to access hatches, and also installed level sensors for well pump automation. That's all. Any questions on any of those?
I have a sort of a random question.
Okay.
Just wondering, so the UV, we know what that's for, and I'm sure it's been proven effective. I'm wondering if, like you mentioned, the Kensico Dam, if algal blooms are a problem in any of your water supplies that you know of, And then the second question is if UV has ever been used or if it would be effective on that.
So you're talking in general algal blooms, not just New York City?
I guess we could talk New York City.
Yeah, I mean,
just wondering New York City.
I'm not aware of any issues with algal blooms in New York City, but it is an issue.
Upstate.
Yeah, upstate.
In the Long Island too, yeah.
And more,
Yeah.
I mean, more and more places.
More and more,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right now, there, I don't know that UV is effective. Really, it's carbon is the most typical treatment.
Right. It's just a different, again, we don't, I understand on a lake, it's totally different, but on a reservoir, just wonder if we had that problem in reservoirs, that would be a problem.
We do.
Thank you. Great.
Anything else? All right. Move to a vote on ID number 2. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, unanimous. ID number 3.
Bond resolution authorizing the issuance of up to $847,381,000 New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation State Clean Water and Drinking Water Revolving Fund revenue bonds on behalf of the New York City Municipal Water Finance Authority.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you, Adam. Okay, we had Emily Jamison, Brian McClintock, Kevin Boomhauer, and Aaron Gagne were presenters, will be presenting. They also presented at the Finance Committee meeting.
So I just wanted to take a moment to introduce our finance team. Not quite everybody here today, but these are the folks that are crunching all the numbers and really working on these sales. So they will be presenting this proposal today. Kevin Boomhauer and Aaron Gagne.
Good morning, everyone. As mentioned, we are presenting the Series 2024A State Clean and Drinking Water Revolving Fund tax-exempt revenue bonds with a maximum authorization request of $847,381,000. The proceeds of the 2024A bonds will be used to refinance clean and drinking water SRF short-term financings and refund certain EFC Series 2010B and 2014A bonds. The estimated present value savings as of this time is expected by refunding the Series 2010B and 2014A is currently $5.2 million and $18.4 million respectively. And we expect to use a blended rate funding model to refinance the EFC short-term grid notes by utilizing EFC equity in addition to the bonds issued to provide the targeted 50% subsidy for clean water projects and 33 1/3 subsidy for drinking water projects. To dive into the numbers a little bit, the Series 2024A will refinance a $274 million clean water short-term financing that funded 9 SRF projects. The scope of these 9 projects was previously approved by the board prior to closing on the short-term financing. However, 3 of the 9 projects will be receiving long-term funding for the first time as a part of Series 2024A. We will also be refinancing a $196 million drinking water short-term financing that funded 2 SRF projects. The scope of one of these projects was previously approved by the board prior to closing on the short term, and the other was presented and approved by board in the last resolution. That same project will be receiving long-term funding for the first time in the Series 2024A. In addition, we also anticipate refunding $111 million in Clean Water 2010B bonds and $44 million in Drinking Water 2010B bonds, in addition to $203 million in Clean Water 2014A bonds and $2.9 million in Drinking Water 2014A bonds. I'd like to run through a higher level breakdown of how we anticipate funding Series 2024A by taking a look at the sources and uses table that we provided. Again, we are requesting a max authorization of $847,381,000. The sources of this deal will be $566,810,000 in EFC bonds that will be issued, These will have a premium of $71,134,000. And EFC will be providing a SRF direct financing in the amount of $209,437,000. This brings us to our total of $847 million. The uses of these funds will be towards $366,899,000 for refunding the 2010B and 2014A bonds. Another $469,715,000 to be used to refinance the current outstanding short-term financings. And $10,767,000 will be used as cost of issuance to make this deal happen. So again, bringing us to the $847 million total. I do want to note that this proposed structure is estimated, and it's based on current market conditions and could definitely change based on the market when we go to price later in March. Lastly, I'd like to note that we anticipate these bonds being issued under the New York Water subordinate indenture. So with that being said, I'll pass it over to Brian to discuss the 2010B bonds that we'll be refunding a little bit further.
Thanks, Erin. As we said earlier in the committee, the 2010Bs were issued as taxable bonds under the Build America Act, and it was part of the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. The 2010B bonds have in addition to the normal issuance of those, they have a 35% subsidy from the federal government. So when they were issued, they were actually cheaper to issue them as taxable bonds than it was as tax exempt bonds. However, in 2013, that federal subsidy was lowered between 5 and 8%. And right now it's currently being lowered by 5.7%. And that is set to stay there, at least there until 2030. The Series 2010 bonds have, because they're taxable, they don't have our normal call at 10 years. We have a make-whole call to protect the investors a little bit. And that make-whole call, there's two different calls in there. One is for a normal make-whole call and one is for an extraordinary call. That extraordinary call is explicitly related to the change in federal subsidy. We have some diligence work to do on that to make sure that we can use those. But the idea is that we would use one of those calls if we were to move forward on that.
To provide a little more historical context on the bonds that we will be refunding, both the 2010B and 2014A bonds were issued under the New York Water subordinate indenture with true interest costs of 3.658% and 3.259%, respectively. The 2014A bonds included a refunding of 3 prior series that were issued in 2004 with a total net savings of $49.6 million. As previously highlighted, the authority will obtain an estimated additional savings of $18.4 million by refunding these bonds for a second time as a part of the Series 2024A, and will also obtain an estimated $5.2 million in savings by refunding the outstanding Series 2010B bonds. Again, I'd like to reiterate that these savings numbers are based on the current market conditions, are definitely subject to change based on the market when we go to price in March. That being said, I'll pass it over to Kevin to discuss the security and credit of this deal.
Thanks, Erin. For the security, as far as pertaining to EFC, as Erin said, we're expecting to go with subordinated bonds, but if the market conditions are changing, we do have that option of going with a senior bond instead. However, with subordinated bond, we do have claims on that for our senior master trust agreement cash flows, which do give the reserve free up from the senior New York Water bonds. Also with bond security, we have a claim on the prior indenture agreement account, which that's under the 2010 MFI. So with all of those cash flows pulling in together, we are expecting a AAA rating for this deal. While reviewing New York City's water credit, all the information that we have from them is from their last official statement in October of 2023. Currently, their ratings AA plus and a AA1. New York Water has currently about $32 billion in outstanding debt, of which $5.9 billion is in the SRF. As in previous years, New York Water takes approximately 1/5 of their annual interest and 1/11 of their annual principal, and they deposit that in their debt service fund prior to any payments of revenue to the city for operation and maintenance. Now, New York City Water does this because they are required to show 1.1 coverage of debt service and a 1x coverage of operating expenses. Now, over the next 5 years, New York City Water projects will provide about 5.19 times debt service coverage, so more than enough coverage. One thing that we also found while we were going through some of their documentation, currently their resident users are charged approximately on average $1,042 annually for a typical residence for water and sewer services. But while looking at the 30 largest cities in the country, their average of those 30 largest cities is $1,309. So New York City Water is coming in considerably cheaper. Now looking forward with New York Water and their projected service revenue, they're approximately currently about $4 billion in the federal fiscal year of 2023. They're looking to see that their revenues will increase to about $4.7 billion by 2027, and this is projected through rate increases. They do have one challenge that they were very clear about, which is that they're seeing a decline in demand of water, and this has impacted their rates in recent years. So New York Water has estimated that the total water consumption will decrease by 1% per year from federal fiscal year 2023 to 2027. Lastly, our primary key dates will be receiving ratings by early March. We'll be going out with our POS very, very close to being after that, and pricing is mid-March with a closing in early April. Does anybody have any questions for us?
I have just a couple questions. Sure. I appreciate the background and all the, again, your analysis. It makes me a couple questions. One, so you mentioned their official statement. So you went to, any other information, so all this information is from them, or did you go outside of them to get some of the coverage ratios and those numbers?
No, everything is from them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned residential rates. Wondering approximately what fraction of the revenue comes in from commercial, and non-residential, and then, if you have any knowledge of how those rates look compared to other big cities.
That's a good question. I don't have that. We can look into that.
We can look into that and get back to you prior to the pricing, but
Great.
I know that the information is available. We just don't have that.
Thank you.
There's also substantial revenue for upstate users.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly
They
right.
provide a lot of communities
That's
with
another
water and things like that. So
That's right.
we can give you kind of that.
Yeah.
picture.
Good. No,
Charlie.
appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you. Great.
Upstate users pay more than
That's
the
right.
inside users.
That's
So
Anything further on ID number 3? Okay, all those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. ID number 4.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation amending prior authorizations for financial assistance to be provided by the corporation to certain recipients in connection with the Clean Water State Revolving Fund.
Okay, can I have a motion and a second? James and Charlie, motion in the second, thank you. Rebecca Walker again with the presentation.
Our first project is with Chautauqua County. This project involved the South End Center Chautauqua Lake Sewer District, extending their sewer service on the west side of the lake to the town of North Harmony. We're seeking authorization for a 1-year extension of the maturity date to March 2025. The project originally closed in 2019 and has been delayed by ongoing equipment and materials delivery issues due to the pandemic. Construction is mostly complete, but approval is needed from another state agency before the county can finish certain work on the project. Once that approval is received and the project is complete, the county will be able to request funds from their WQIP grant, and EFC can prepare the long-term financing. The next project is the town of Cornwall in Orange County. This project includes the planning, design, and construction of the Shore Road wastewater treatment plant solids handling facilities. We're seeking authorization for a funding increase of approximately $1.7 million and to extend the maturity date 2.5 years to the end of 2026. Bids exceeded the town's original estimated project cost by a significant amount due to construction cost increases associated with the pandemic. As a result, the town conducted a value engineering review of the design in an attempt to address the treatment plant's solids handling needs in a more cost-effective manner. The redesign reduced the size of the cost increase, but additional funds and time are still needed to complete construction. And the last project is the Village of Malone in Franklin County. For this project, we're seeking authorization to extend the maturity date 1 year to February 5th, 2025. This $19 million project, which included improvements to the wastewater treatment plant and collection system, originally closed in 2015, and construction is complete. However, the village has been waiting on final approval of a contract for co-funding, which was just received last month. The 1-year extension will allow time for the village to receive the co-funding dollars, turn them over to EFC, and for the long-term financing to be properly sized. Any questions?
Great, thanks, Rebecca. Move to a vote. All those in favor of ID number 4? Aye.
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 Unanimous. ID number 5.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation making certain determinations and authorizing certain actions in connection with the Clean Water State Revolving Fund and authorizing financial assistance payments to certain municipalities to fund eligible clean water projects from funds appropriated for water infrastructure improvement projects.
Okay, can I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Christine. Vita, thank you. I think that was a hand up for the second. Bill Brazel will be presenting.
All right, good afternoon. Today we have 4 clean water projects before the board for authorization. The first is the Albany Municipal Water Finance Authority in Albany County. It's a short-term interest-free financing. This financing is for the city of Albany's portion of the planning, design, and construction of multiple combined sewer overflow projects in the cities of Albany, Troy, and Cohoes as part of the overall Albany Pool Long-Term Control Plan. Requested authorization is for $2.1 million in bipartisan infrastructure law financing, $4.25 million in bipartisan infrastructure law grant, and a $3.625 million WIA grant. We funded into this program with the Albany Pool communities in the last several years, 6 different communities, collaborating to do a number of CSO projects to protect the Hudson River. The construction of these projects is expected to be complete in 2027. All right, next we have a WIA grant, a 2021 WIA grant for the Village of Endicott in Broome County. The majority of this project is being funded with a WQIP grant from DEC, and our grant is just over $75,000. Village of Endicott owns and operates wastewater treatment plant rated at 10 million gallons per day. The flow of the plant is reaching 95% of the design flow, and as a result, DEC required the village to develop a flow management plan. The result of this plan is these projects. They're lining approximately 3,300 linear feet of sewers and rehabilitating a number of manholes in the village in order to reduce inflow and infiltration to the collection system. Construction started in October of last year and is expected to be complete by the end of 2024. This project was supported by engineering planning grants in 2017 and 2018. Next, we have a long-term financing for the Village of Lake Placid in Essex County. The requested authorization is an $8.1 million long-term interest-free financing. This project also includes previously authorized ISC and GIGP grants from EFC. Village of Lake Placid owns and operates a sanitary collection system and a wastewater treatment plant. There was a section of sewer in the village that actually ran underneath existing buildings near Mirror Lake. It was causing backups and other issues. This project replaced that sewer, placed a total of 1,400 linear feet of sanitary sewer and lined nearly 4,000 feet of sewer, along with rehabilitating manholes in the collection system to prevent sewage overflows to Mirror Lake. They also installed 3 stormwater detention and infiltration practices and some porous pavement in 2 parking areas as part of the GIGP work. And this project was supported with an engineering planning grant awarded in 2013. Construction is expected to be complete next month. And then finally, we have a long-term financing for the town of Woodhull in Steuben County. This project has been around for a long time. They have a CWSRF grant from 2011. And today we're requesting a long-term interest-free financing of just over $1.1 million. This is the hamlet of Woodhull was served by on-site septic systems, and all the homes have individual drinking water wells that were contaminated by the failing septic system. So this has really been good for the community. They built a 50,000 gallon per day wastewater treatment plant, installed new septic tanks at the homes, installed over 10,000 linear feet of collection sewers, force mains, 5 pump stations to convey the wastewater to the treatment plant. There were a lot of delays with this project. The community needed to find additional funding. They started construction in 2018, completed it in 2020, and operating well now. So homeowners don't have contamination in their drinking water wells. So are there any questions on these projects?
Great, thanks, Bill. Okay, we'll move to a vote on item number 5. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that was unanimous as well. Any new business to raise? Our next board meeting will be Thursday, February 15 at 11:30. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Francis and Charlie, all those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Unanimous again. Thank you.